Yes, racism is affecting people's mental health. You've got to talk to somebody. If you're a young person and you feel really strongly impacted by what's going on around you, it's important you talk to somebody.
Would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a bit more about yourself and your work?
So my name is Ejiro Ogbevoen, and I have experience in psychotherapy for about 10 years. I have worked in various aspects of wellness and well-being. My practice is called Through Talk, which is wellness through talk, any way that I can support anyone through the means of talking therapy. That's what I do.
One of the first questions is, do you have any advice for young people struggling to discuss their mental health with their parents?
Yes. What I would say to young people struggling with their mental health and how to discuss it with their parents would be to, first of all, understand what's going on for them. If they're struggling, they need to speak to somebody. And I want to say that maybe your parents may not be the best person to be talking to. So that also is an opportunity for you, that your parents may not be the best adult in your life at the moment. So the most important thing is to talk to somebody. It could be another adult. It could be somebody at school or even your GP, because your parents, if you feel your parents may not understand, they would understand taking you to the GP, and you could speak to the GP and you will get that support from that angle. Until you get the support you need to then talk to your parents, it's important that you speak to somebody, and your parents may not necessarily be the first people that come to mind. So that's if you're finding it difficult to speak to your parents. But if you haven't tried it and you think that the conversation needs to happen, then speak to your parents. If it's not going a way you want it to, then it's important that you speak to somebody else. Just don't leave it there because your parents are not responding the way you want them to.
The next question is, what are some signs to look out for that may suggest a young person needs to seek help for their mental health?
If you don't feel good, you do not feel good. That is the first sign that something is wrong. You know, if you go to school and it feels too much, if everything feels like a struggle, then something is not right. So stepping away from the world, not wanting to interact with people, sleeping too much, eating too much, or not eating at all, a sense of everything being too much is a sign. And you know it on the inside, even if nobody can see it. But the things that we on the outside begin to see are things like, you know, you don't call anymore, you don't want to go out and be with your friends anymore. We can see all this. But at this point, it's gone too far, to be honest. If you're beginning to feel unwell, that like if you don't feel good, speak to somebody.
The next question is, what are some healthy ways of dealing with your mental health as a young person from a minority ethnic background?
As a young person from a minority ethnic background, it's really the same with every young person. It's just the activities that you're involved in may be different, but what you want at the end of the day is you want to feel good, no matter where you're from. You want to feel good, you want to be able to live your best life, you want to be able to express yourself the way you want to express yourself. Now, what will support you to do that? So some of the tips would be, what do you enjoy doing? That's where you start from. You know, do you enjoy your coloring, your painting, your drawing? Do you enjoy your music? Who helps you enjoy your music more? You want to be around those people. At the moment, the environment is different, but doesn't stop you from still communicating with friends and having your chats. That's very important. So the things that excite you, that make you happy, that's how you cope with keeping your mental health in the best of ways. Being good, being well is what mental health is about. It means you are free enough to do the things that you enjoy doing. So take out everything that's an obstacle, then you're there, taking care of your mental health.
That's perfect. It kind of relates to my next question, which is, are there any mental health supports for Black people in Ireland?
At the moment, there's nothing specific to Black people. Recently, I started the Black Therapists Ireland, which is bringing Black therapists together to make it available for people to seek mental health support from Black people. And we're doing this not because we want to only work with Black people, but we're doing this because we know that there are many people out there who feel they want to talk to Black therapists. And we want to make that easy for people to find Black therapists. This is the beginning of something that is Black exclusive when it comes to the mental health arena in Ireland. There will be more things like this coming up in the future where it's Black focused, but we will be working with already existing organizations to make it easy for Black people to access all these existing mental health support services that are already in Ireland. I suppose we just need to know that we are part of the community and not feel excluded by excluding ourselves. But I think we need to champion that. And that's what Black Therapist is about in the mental health space. It's about championing this. We're here. We're available to you. Come speak to us. What would you like? How can we support you? So it's nothing specific to the Black community except the Black Therapist Ireland, where you'll find Black therapists to work with.
What can a young person do if they feel like racism or discrimination is affecting their mental health?
That's a very big one, and that's a huge struggle for a lot of people. Yes, racism is affecting people's mental health. You've got to talk to somebody. If you're a young person and you feel really strongly impacted by what's going on around you, it's important you talk to somebody. And that's where Black therapists will probably be the best people to talk to, because once you get this feeling of racism against you, you may not, and it's not true for all. And I have worked with so many amazing people, white therapists. It's not that they cannot do the work. It's more that we come to the table feeling they won't understand us. So that's why we find it maybe difficult to go to a white therapist or a Caucasian therapist, or a therapist that doesn't understand where we're coming from. So if you're struggling with racism, if racism, microaggression, if your environment isn't conducive, speak to somebody so that you can put things in place to support your mental health. Nobody needs to suffer. But if you don't know what to do, then the suffering continues. So as a young person, don't accept it as, well, this is how things happen. This is what happens. I'm in Ireland. What do I expect? No, it's not on, but it has to start from you. And I want you to be the person to make that difference. That it's not about saying to the Caucasian person or the people around you that, no, it's more like, I respect myself enough that I will not entertain this kind of behavior. And once you begin to respect yourself and hold yourself up, and people respect you. So I want us to come from that space that it's not acceptable for anyone to be suffering at all because of the color of their skin, or because they're a woman, or because of their sexuality. It doesn't matter what the discrimination is. It's not on. Speak to somebody, get the support you need. Just step away from that. Well, that's the way it is. No, that's not the way it is. We can make a difference, but it will start from you.
Would you have any recommendations on how to deal with imposter syndrome as a young person from a minority ethnic background?
Yeah, imposter syndrome. That's it's geniuses thinking that they're not good enough. That's what imposter syndrome is. And for each and every one of us, trying to do something, trying to make a difference, There's a time that you will be in bed and be like, oh my God, if only they knew. At that point where you hear that I'm not good enough, that's when you say to yourself, take a deep breath and say to yourself, I'm making a difference. That's all I want to do. And the only way is for you to first convince yourself, because when it comes to imposter syndrome, nobody but you sees it. Nobody hears it. These words that you're saying to yourself, you're saying it to yourself in your bed, or, you stand in front of people just as you're about to speak. You're like, oh my God, what do they think about me? No, they don't know these things that's going on inside of you. When you begin to doubt yourself, take a moment, take a few deep breaths and remind yourself why you started this journey, whatever that journey is. And if you can back yourself up, you'll be good to go.
Thank you. And are there any techniques you'd recommend on dealing with anxiety?
This is a snow globe. And anxiety is an experience like that. Like inside of you just has this sense of things are shaking and it's unsettled. Anything that helps you stay in place, anything that helps support you to just steady yourself works when it comes to anxiety. So for all of us, it's different. It could be a run, writing something down. So an exercise that I practice myself and with my clients is you draw a circle around yourself, an imaginary circle, and you're in the middle. Now take out everybody. Take the family out, your friends, your teachers, your dog, your cat, your pet snake. Take everything out. And it's just you. And once it's just you, I want you to take a few deep breaths. Fill your lungs as much as you can. And then as you release, just relax and ground yourself. You see, when we don't have all these things at us, in most cases, we're able to find our calm. And once you can find your calm, often enough, you tend to spend more time in this space feeling steady. And then you just go about life. Not that you're not going to shake, but you're not going to be shaking so much that you can't get out of bed. And sometimes putting your hand on your chest and on your gut just helps support you in the moment of anxiety so that it doesn't escalate and maybe head towards a panic attack. But in most cases, anxiety can be managed by just grounding yourself.
Thank you. The next question is, what are some healthy ways of coping with pressure from family?
I know as an African parent, we want so much for our kids that we can want too much that they cannot handle. And being able to balance that is something that we need to teach the adults. But at the moment, if you're feeling too much pressure from your parents, you have to speak to somebody. Again, the GP is a good way to go. An adult in your life that you can talk to is a good way to go. I know directly talking to your mother or your father may not be very easy for that to happen, especially if they don't want to know. They just want to see you do the work. It can be quite challenging. So I understand that. And I know that I don't want you to get sick before something happens. So if your parents aren't listening, look for somebody who will listen. That's the most important thing. I think it's important that you know that you're still in charge of the things that needs to be done. So the things that are expected of you, yes, but you're still in charge of what you can do. So take responsibility for that. If your schoolwork is too much, then you know how to spread that out, how to make schoolwork easier for you. You know what works for you. So one coping skill is to first understand that there are certain things that you are in charge of and make that work for you. And don't try too hard to try to meet everybody's expectation of you, because your teachers are expecting stuff from you, your friends are expecting stuff from you, and it can be too much. So see what you can do and manage yourself. And if you're challenged, speak to somebody.
Would you have any tips for young people struggling to discuss things like body image, sexual orientation, or identity with their parents?
These are very important issues. And if you're struggling with it, you need to find a space to talk about it. First of all, I want to say that you are who you are. That's the most important thing. If you can first accept that you don't have to fight with yourself for who you are, that's one huge battle that you have overcome. Talking to somebody else outside who would understand would then be the next step. So if you're struggling with body image, let's look for ways to first support yourself. If you can accept you for who you are, then the world will accept you. So it's not that you need them to accept you for you to accept yourself. Accept yourself first. Try to look for communities that are out there that would support you, help you support yourself first. Let the first thing you do not be, I want to go tell somebody. I want somebody to know about it. Resolve it within you first. And I know, depending on your age, it may not be that simple, but there are people out there that will give you the support you need. Now you can go online, you can make a phone call. Everyone has a phone. There are people you can reach out to. And I know that we want to talk to our parents. If our parents are not going to be supportive, maybe they should not be the first people we talk to.
The next question is, how can a young person discuss not wanting to eat certain foods with their parents? That relates to maybe body image or maybe a certain dietary lifestyle.
Yes, that can be a very challenging one, because coming from an African background, we feel that we love with our food. We show affection to our kids by the food that we prepare for them. And we want them to eat heartily everything that we make. And if a child says, I don't want to eat it, it can feel like you are slighting me or disrespecting me or not wanting to do what I know is best for you. It's a tricky one, but I think we can overcome it by finding the right time and the right space to talk to your parents. You know, when your mom is in her best mood, bring it up. Help her understand you and what you're trying to achieve. If, for example, you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to build your muscles, or, you know, something just doesn't sit well with you, you saying, no, I'm not going to eat it, is just going to make things worse. It's just going to aggravate things. And I know that's how you feel, but let's try to get our parents on our side. So look for a great time that your dad or your mom, whichever one you can really talk to, is in their best space, their best mood. If they don't understand what you're trying to do, then their actions might feel like they're going against you. So help them understand what you're trying to do, and they will support you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for answering my questions. And that was the final one.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I hope you found this, interesting.
Oh, I definitely did. There's definitely tips I'll be taking away as well. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It was nice to do this.